Sounds good.
Yeah, and just like that, we're good to go. So, all right, James, I have been trying to get you on this podcast coming on almost a year, I feel like.
I think we started communicating when I was in Hawaii.
Yeah, you were. And it
Yeah.
was like COVID times and everything.
Mhm.
But yeah, so just to kind of let some of the listeners in, this is James the Sailor Man.
You're listening to the best goddamn podcast available with your host, Rob Childs.
I don't know your last name, so I'm just going to call you James the Sailor Man. But you have, from my perspective, one of the greatest Instagram and YouTube channels that you can go to find inspiration, to get away from the shit that you're in. I think that's kind of how I've been using some of your posts. I've traveled quite
Yeah, I mean
extensively.
I just try to like I set a path up for myself for a kind of a very unusual life, and I just try to share it as best I can with everybody who doesn't have the ability to have that same life.
Yeah, it's crazy because I feel like everybody, if they really wanted to, they could have the life that you have, but it's hard to kind of get that mindset. If what I'm doing right now doesn't work out, most likely I'm moving back to Hawaii and I'm just going to figure it out on the beach, because this adult thing sucks, like the real life shit.
Yeah.
And so I needed to get you on to get your perspective, like what are you doing differently and how you got to where you are. So kind of just put everything over in your court and kind of give you a few minutes to kind of explain exactly what it is that we're talking about and what it is that you actually do.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I'll start way back and do sort of like a truncated version of everything. But in 2014, I got introduced to sailing on a boat in Scotland, and it changed my life. Like I didn't even know that you could like cruise around the world on a sailboat and drop anchor wherever and see beautiful things and travel like in a mode that is centuries old. And after that, I was like, okay. And then I found out, and again, I've said this many times. I don't know if the fact is true, if this stat is true, but I was told that 80% of the countries in the world can be reached by the water. And it doesn't matter if it's true or not to me. I was like, oh, that's enough for me. I want to see,
Yeah.
But the reality is there are many, many incredible places that you can only reach by the water, or especially like on a budget, right? So if you have like an endless bank account, then you can fly wherever in the world and see everything. But many of the places, especially this season that I've been to, there's no way to fly there.
Right.
You have to like work, put in the time, put in the misery, and then you get access to this sort of magic. And so much of it is like paring down your life. So like the key is like being able to live simply and being comfortable being uncomfortable. Because living on and I have a 30-foot vintage sailboat, 1965 Alberg 30 sailboat. It's 30 feet long, which is 9 meters. And it's about, I think it's like 8.5 feet wide. So I can like reach across and touch either side. That's how small my boat is.
Good.
So that means that life is rarely comfortable in the sense of like creature comforts. Right. And everything I own on the planet is on this little boat. And I'm speaking to you guys right now from Opua, New Zealand. So yeah, that's like, I decided that I wanted to sail around the world, and when I decided, I had no money and I was working paycheck to paycheck, and I made it happen. I bought the boat for $2,400. I spent 4 years working paycheck to paycheck, refitting it and getting it to the level she needed to be to sail. And then I left Los Angeles, sailed to Hawaii, spent 8 months in Hawaii, and then sailed to French Polynesia. And this season, I've worked all through the South Pacific, from the French Polynesia to American Samoa to Fiji, and now I'm in New Zealand.
Man, it's to be able to do that is what I'm striving for. I've lived a couple lives and kind of on my second go around at this adult life thing. And I'm trying to be able to get a career that will allow me the life to be able to travel. Whereas you just put the traveling ahead of the career and the career would follow. That's definitely one way of doing it. It's probably the way that I would have done it if I wasn't engaged, but apparently women ruin our lives and make us do things the way they want. So otherwise,
yeah, they also greatly enrich our lives and take care of us in many ways.
Oh yeah, I'd be nowhere without.
Yeah, it's like there's compromise depending on,
yeah,
in the whole thing. But the thing is like I have always set up my life forever to where I live and I work and not the other way around. So even in Los Angeles, I had a freelance job where I worked 4 days a week so that I would have 3 days a week. And it's like, my older brother said that I'm highly skilled at living on the brink of financial destruction because he's always had like great security. And for me, it's always just like, I make enough to live and I travel. However, even before I think I'd visited 22 countries before I started sailing full time. So I've always that's always been important to me.
Yeah, let's just get into this. I got some questions. First, where did you go? You left LA to go to Hawaii and you're in Fiji now. So this is this one long trip that you're doing, or have you had to come back to LA and kind of like reload or anything like that, or you just took off and you have not gone
I went back to I'm in New Zealand now, but I'm circumnavigating, so I'm about 1/3 done with my this first circumnavigation. No, I flew back to LA last Christmas to see my baby brother who lives there and some other close friends. But yeah, no, I didn't, I just went back to visit once, but like I have my US Coast Guard captain's license and I got that. I invested probably like $2,500 to get it, plus all the sea time I had put in for years.
Okay.
And I got that originally so that I could drive dive boats. I could do yacht deliveries, which I used to do a lot of deliveries. So that was how I intended on making money as I went. So it was like, save up money, save up enough for like 6 months or a year. You go cruising. And then when I run out of dough, I was like, okay, I'll just drive boats. But it just happened that my YouTube channel took off and now that pays all of my expenses. So I don't have to work anything other than my YouTube channel, which I never expected that to take place. But also I've lived very simply. Like I've only been in a marina 3 times in the last year. Wow. So I'm normally under anchor everywhere. I'm alone and it's just like food and then repair costs. Like right now I'm rebuilding my engine here in New Zealand. So that's a large cost, but my life is very simple and I don't have any past debt. So that helps.
Yeah. I was checking out your YouTube channel. Because when we started talking, I feel like you had some good views, but over this last year, it seems like it's almost blown up and you have a lot more. I just got my year-end report and I gained 40,000 subscribers this year. Nice.
So currently I have 88,000 subscribers.
That's awesome, man. And you're able to live the life you want to live, showing other people to do the things that they want to do. That's amazing. Do you have
giving it all away for free?
Yeah,
that's the coolest
the best part.
I film on this GoPro. This is all my camera gear, this and a busted drone, everything. I edit, upload them so everyone can see them for free and somehow make a living. It's so cool.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part. Like, what other job can you give everything away for free and still be able to support yourself? It's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's like the flip side of that is I'm also a writer and I'm pursuing the writing career pretty hard. Like I have an article that's in the newest issue of Good Old Boat magazine. I have an article come out in Cruising World magazine and a number of articles to other magazines that are pending for this year. So I honestly think the YouTube thing could vanish any moment. So I would like to set myself up, with enough writing gigs regular so that I have that to kind of balance out and give me, not, I don't want to have all my apples in one basket.
Yeah. That it's still cool how you've been able to find this avenue to be able to support yourself doing what you love. And the best part is you're helping other people do it. I know there's like other avenues, like you can go on like paid sites, to where people will pay to see your stuff, but it seems like you don't get as many views and you're not really getting as many people to discover who you are, and kind of things that way.
Yeah, I mean, and I never ever, I started the YouTube channel just to share what I was doing, and especially sharing the refit. I was like, these are the things I'm repairing. This is how you fix this. I would look online, and if I didn't see a tutorial for something I was doing, I would have to learn how to do it. And so I felt obligated to YouTube to film a tutorial so other people wouldn't have the same problem. So I did a lot of like refit videos, and then basically I'd work on my boat for like 3 or 4 months real hard. And then I would go sailing around Southern California and hit all the islands around there, and then do more work like that. That's how I did the first 4 years. And I visited 27 different anchorages in Southern California. So there's a lot to explore there, and got a lot of experience, and even in pretty heavy weather. So yeah. And then now it's just like bonkers as far as like the amount of stuff I've seen this year is totally crazy.
Yeah, I've watched some of your videos. So the two that come to mind right away is you were fixing your starter, and I remember kind of like going through it. I saw that on like Instagram Live or something, or not live, but the reels. And it was almost like I'm going through my day, and I'd like see you, and you're like, "Hey, this part's busted," and then like a couple hours later, it was like, "Oh no, there's another one coming in tomorrow," and it was almost like this cool little TV show that was going on, and you were the character, and I got to see what was going through, and it made me want to like reach out and say something, but at the same time, you're just this character on my phone, so
Yeah.
so it's this cool thing that we live in now, to where like you can reach out to the people that you're getting entertainment from and ask questions, and just have normal conversations like this. So I know I don't have you for too long. So I just have some couple really random questions, man. Like,
Knock it out.
like, what's the mindset? That's the biggest thing I feel like is the difference between dreams and goals or actions, and you're doing that. So what do you see as different from your mindset from everybody else who just wants to do what you're doing?
I've always just been someone that does stuff. Like, I was raised by a very strict mother, and she really hammered in the importance of hard work and never feeling sorry for yourself. Like, that was never an option in our childhood. I have 4 brothers. My mom was like 5'2", weighed like 90 pounds, and she was tough as a bull. And she was just like, it was not an option. Like, self-pity was not an option, and hard work was like, that's life. Yeah. So that kind of that upbringing made my life so easy. It's like,
it's just discipline. Like, you got, like,
I would say for sure discipline. And I mean, there are many times where in my head, I'm like, I don't want to do this, but my body continues forward, where I'll be like, it'll be terrible, especially like at sea or something, or there's like an obstacle that I don't know how to do. And I'm like, I don't want to learn anything else, but it's like, it's almost like a robot. My body I just keep moving forward. Like, I don't procrastinate kind of ever.
You seem like one of those guys to where you can outwork your brain, and your brain will get tired before the body does. Eventually the body's just going to break.
Sure. I have to that's another thing. I have to discipline myself in when to stop.
Yeah, that was my next question.
I'm gonna fry, and then I'm gonna mess things up. So it's like, dial it back, go read a book, deal with it the next day. You know what I mean?
My next question was going to be, with it's just you on the boat. So there was another video that I wanted to bring reference to. It was you were walking on the wrong side of the boat as it was rocking from the waves.
Yeah.
And like, you had to explain it. But what happens? Obviously you're fucked if that's what happens, if you do fall over. But do you have any like plans, any contingencies, or kind of, because it's just you, like what
There,
exactly?
you're dead. If you fall over and
Yeah.
you're solo, you're dead. There's no way around it. The boat has a self-steering system. The boat sails off and you watch it sail away. So you stay on the boat. You stay clipped in. And that's why I was speaking about solo sailors don't wear life jackets, because you wear a harness and you clip in. But if you fall over with the life jacket, your boat sails away. You're just floating in the ocean with like waiting to, it just prolongs your death. And
Yeah.
like, so like I have like a thing called an EPIRB. So this thing is like, if the boat's sinking, I set this thing off. It tells the Coast Guard where I am, and then I get in the life raft and whatever. So you can get these small versions that you can have on your life jacket. And people are like, why don't you have one of those personal locator beacons? If all that thing's gonna do is tell them where your body is, because the ocean is vast and people just don't realize how vast. And if you're 1,000 miles from no one, you have 2 days. If a shark doesn't get you,
Right.
you have 2 days. So there's no, and boats travel, even the cargo ships travel at 30 miles an hour. You know what I mean? Like that's top speed. They usually go probably 15 to conserve fuel. My boat travels at like 4 miles an hour. So there's no one going to cruise up on you. Like you're done.
Yeah.
So the key is, and there is one other option that some solo sailors will do is, and I did it when I had an emergency at sea, is you can drag a long rope in the water with knots tied in it that's 100 feet long as a last ditch. Like hopefully I grab it as the boat sails past me. But even that, it's just like the key is to stay on the boat.
Yeah.
Like make sure you don't fall off the boat. That's like,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah,
key is going slow, not rushing, and being clipped in,
Yeah, I didn't even know that clipping in was an option, or like that little beacon
Mhm.
thing. So that's just new information for me. As far as like where you're going, the things you've seen, what makes the top of your list so far? Like a must see, like you're definitely going to go back and check it out again.
Moorea, which is a small island off of near to, it's 12 miles from Tahiti. Easily the most beautiful place I visited. And I only got to spend just over a day there because there were storms coming and I had to run for the next island. Stunningly beautiful landscape. Beautiful lagoon, crystal clear water. It was just like unreal. And like, it's like Captain Cook had sailed into the adjacent bay and anchored there. So there's like rich history.
Yeah.
Polynesia is amazing. All of Polynesia is amazing, but Moorea, Bora Bora was bonkers, but it's very touristy, but the lagoon is out of this world. It's so gorgeous. But Fiji, I could spend a full year in Fiji. It was so beautiful and so cool. Yeah, Fiji is top of the list for sure.
Really? All right. Yeah, because I'm starting my pilot's license, because that's one way that I want to be able to go see things. Is I want to actually fly around smaller islands. Like I don't want to do like large jets or anything, just like little Cessnas, just for my own kind of purposes, I guess. And so I've been looking at like little islands and things like that. So I'm definitely going to spend some more time at looking at Fiji for my hopeful travels in the future. Do you ever get lonely? I know like you have a huge
For sure.
community of people online.
Yeah, but I
it's
for
just
sure
you.
get lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I for sure get lonely, and it comes in waves, sort of. Like, I actually get the most lonely when I'm near land. So I love doing offshore passages solo. I love it. My boat is very small, and if I had another and it's usually not comfortable doing an ocean crossing because the boat movement is just kind of chaos. If there was somebody else on this boat who was like moaning and complaining, it would be hell. So like I'm chill, I'm relaxed. I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me. But so I love solo ocean crossings. I don't get lonely on the crossings, the passages. And the longest passage I've had was 32 days, but that was because I had complications. The next long passage was 2,323 miles from Hawaii to Rangiroa in the Tuamotus. And that was 16 days. No, No, 26 days. I don't remember.
Is that the
I
longest
think it
that
was,
you've been on the
well, I think it
boat
was
one time?
26 days. Yeah, it had to be 26 because 2,300 miles. I do about 100 miles a day when I'm not becalmed. So 100, 110 miles a day is kind of what my average is.
Okay.
So 26 days to Rangiroa. I don't get lonely on the passages, but it would be more enjoyable seeing the gorgeous places. You're under anchor, you're swimming with dolphins and manta rays. You're seeing just insanely gorgeous things. And it's just better to turn to someone and be like, can you believe this? Like, this is fantastic. So
Yeah.
yeah. And I had a friend that was supposed to meet me in Fiji, so that we could like hit a bunch of spots, and then it just didn't work out. It's hard for most people because they have jobs and it's very expensive to get to these
Mhm.
places. So it's a little tricky. But like my baby brother's gonna meet me in Indonesia for diving. And I have other friends that plan on, I have a friend coming out here to meet me. We're gonna do some adventuring. So that's kind of a good kind of balance. But yeah, for sure. I got really lonely in Fiji towards the end because I was like, I just been pushing for so long
Mhm.
too, and like didn't meet many people this during this summer because it's like, especially with like you in the South Pacific, you have a short window when there's not cyclone season. So I had to be in New Zealand by December. So that was a lot of ground to cover. So you're always kind of on the move, racing cyclone season.
Man, this is like a whole nother world I didn't even know existed. I mean, I knew it existed, but like just every time, normally when I ask a question, I feel like I have some sort of an answer and I have no reference to anything on this. It's just extremely interesting. And I know I said like 30 minutes, so let me try to get you out of here in the next couple.
Oh, I'm not
Um,
I'm not in a rush. Whatever works for you
all
and
right.
your listeners. It's like,
Yeah, how much do you spend a day? Like, 'cause I feel like most people watch your videos, they wish they could do that. Really, they don't wish they could do that. They just want to experience it. Nobody likes to put in the amount of work you've put in. But
yeah.
realistically, what are you spending in a day?
So it doesn't really work that way because like you buy big chunks of food, you're almost always eating on the boat
Right.
because a lot of places there's nothing, there's no facilities, right? So basically it's like the easiest way to describe it is most of the time I make about between $2,000 and $2,500 a month, and I never run out of money. So that kind of tells you right there. And I have never broke it down, but certain places will cost a lot more. So like Tahiti, I stayed in a marina for 2 weeks to like have access to the internet, upload a bunch of videos and
Yeah, yeah.
edit, and I had stuff shipped to me, which ended up costing me a fortune in like custom fees and stuff. So that was a large expense. But most of this summer, you spend nothing. You spend $200 on groceries like every couple weeks, and that's it because you're under anchor, right? So, but the key is like my boat was completely refit before I left, right?
Yeah.
So that's where the wild cards, like my engine stopped working in Fiji and I sailed here with no engine. And so that's what I'm getting repaired now. So, this could cost me $2,000 to get fixed. But that's the kind, I rarely ever make more than $2,500. Sometimes when my videos are doing very well, I'll make, $3,000 a month. But usually it's between $2,000 and $2,500 a month is what I make. And I've never gotten down to the bare wire with
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, it's just crazy that's about what normal, like middle America, like the people that are watching your videos, that's what they're probably making. So it doesn't really
That's what I was
seem
paying in rent in LA.
yeah. Oh God, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy. So
it is insane. I live in Ann Arbor, and for Michigan, it's the most expensive city, and like it's comparable to Chicago rent, and it just doesn't make sense why the Midwest costs so much. But got to be around the University of Michigan students and hear their woke bullshit, so got to pay for it. But
right.
yeah, man, how much longer do you plan on doing this?
This circumnavigation, I think I'll be back to LA in 2025, 2026. It just
Okay.
depends. I'm open, like I'm down to like if I find some place I want to spend longer, then I'm open to do that. Like I don't have a timeline to where I need to finish. Because this is just my life. I'm just cruising full time. So, but I know me and I like to move and see new things. I always say I'm a tumbleweed. Like I like staying on the move and seeing stuff.
Yeah.
This time is really good for me to be, I'm going to be in New Zealand till May because of cyclone season. And then I'll be sailing to Australia. But that's nice because it's kind of forcing me to slow down and relax and kind of recoup for a couple, through the end of the year. But then there are a billion anchorages in New Zealand, like maybe the most yacht friendly place in the world. They are so all about sailing and they're really kind to sailors. So there's so much to explore here. So this is a great spot to be for 6 months. Then I go to Australia and I go up inside the Great Barrier Reef. And by like September, I'll sail from Darwin to Indonesia and then work my way up through Southeast Asia to Thailand. And then around January of so like December of next year, I'll be in Thailand. And then around January, I'll leave to sail across the Indian Ocean to Madagascar.
How does this work with your passport?
Do
Like,
what?
How does it work with your passport? Because I mean, like, you're pulling into port on a 1960s $2,500 boat, and so like it's not like a cruise ship or a plane, or you're just kind of coming in like, hey, somebody want to stamp this? Or
no, there's a full-on process, and you fill out tons of forms before you arrive, especially since COVID. You have to send tons of information via email and with forms all filled out ahead of time. And you sail into a country after you've already made contact and told them, okay, I expect to be there around this time, and here's all my info. You arrive, you put up what's called a Q flag, a quarantine flag, which is a yellow flag. You raise it on your starboard spreaders, and that tells them that there's no sickness on board, but you have not cleared into customs. And so usually there's a quarantine anchorage or a quarantine dock. Here in Opua, there's a big dock just for yachts coming in, because probably 250 to 300 foreign yachts came in this season to Opua.
Damn.
From the South Pacific. So you come in, they come out to see you. And here it was so easy. It was two officials. It was a biosecurity officer and a customs officer. And you just fill out the paperwork. They stamp your passport. I had already applied for a long stay visa ahead of time and been approved. So it was super easy. And the biosecurity officer, I had already cleared my boat out of everything. So there's a list of stuff you can't bring to New Zealand. You can't bring honey. You can't bring certain like nuts and stuff, frozen meat or anything like that. Because they, like the honey could pollute their honeybees here and stuff. So they're very serious, and they'll collect it and take it away and incinerate it.
New Zealand and Australia look at our food as poison.
Well, there's a reason though. They're like,
they
have very, like delicate sort of like ecosystems that could be annihilated. So especially islands, it's like they have to really take care. Same thing. I had my boat flown out in Fiji and the bottom spray to remove any invasive marine life, so that when you arrive in New Zealand, you're not introducing something that's going to decimate their marine life.
That's awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was really, they were real nice and easy. So each country is different. Like Fiji was very chill. I think I dealt with like 3 or 4 officers there. They were really nice. American Samoa is the biggest nightmare of my life, and I will never return to that place. I had to deal with, I'm an American citizen, and I had to deal with 12 officials who were a nightmare. And they charged me $150 to visit American Samoa. Never again. Just the worst experience. But everything else, like even French Polynesia, very chill.
Yeah.
Like everybody's just chill.
Yeah. All right. So last question.
Process of bureaucracy, as long as you don't act a fool and you follow the steps, which all the steps, everything is available online. You can easily see what it takes.
Yeah.
You're responsible. You handle your business like an adult, and then they're chill.
Yeah. All right. So I got one more question for you, and then I'll let you go, because if I keep you on here, I'm probably going to end up in Fiji with you in fucking February. Right. But what are you eating? I mean, like, just like I'm a nutritionist, a dietitian, so it's just very interesting for me. If you're grabbing food, for weeks, months on end, and you're on a very small boat, I'm just very curious as to like what you're eating on a daily basis.
Like at sea, you buy a bunch of fresh stuff, which you eat all first, right? Fresh vegetables and fruit and
Right.
everything like
Yeah.
that, because it doesn't last very long at sea. I always buy like as many eggs as I can, and I'll like hard boil a dozen eggs so that those are easy to eat. And then I'll have like I like eat beans and rice quite a bit. I eat like rice and curry, Japanese curry. When I have access to fish, I'll make poisson cru. It's like Polynesian version of ceviche. So it's like
Okay.
raw fish and coconut milk and lime juice with
Okay.
onions, and then you marinate it for several hours, and then you eat that with warm rice. So
It's like a
like that's what
curry
I ate a
ceviche
lot
type
also.
thing. That
Do
sounds
what?
awesome. It's like a curry
It is
ceviche thing.
it is fantastic. It is very good. That's what I ate all summer in the South Pacific was like, and even when I go to restaurants, if they have poisson cru, like that's all it was. That was my jam. And then it's like a lot of it. I eat a lot of pasta, and always tons of ramen because it depends on the sea state. Because it can be very, very difficult to cook if the boat is just insane.
Mhm.
So ramen is kind of like just like eating for utility.
Yeah.
Boil that water for 3 minutes and like get it in your belly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel
And
like
then for
that's
the
how
in the
everybody
mornings, I'll
loves
just
ramen.
eat like cereal or eggs, and I eat also a lot of like when I could find. I had a bunch of like refried beans on board, but it was almost impossible to find this summer. But I would make quesadillas with eggs.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool. All right, man. Well, I think that's about all the questions I got for you now. I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to be still hitting you up randomly and maybe do this again if I don't fly out and come visit you and bring you some fish.
yeah.
But
Let me know.
yeah, just you want to give just an extra minute and kind of tell people where they can find you, your YouTube channel and Instagram, and get some more
Yeah. If you
followers.
want to get a peek at what I'm doing, you can find me on YouTube at Sailor James. Just it's youtube.com/Sailor James. You can also find me on Instagram. If you search Sailor James or James the Sailor Man, you'll find me. I'm on there. And yeah, that's between those two places, then you can find, links to
Yeah.
everything else that I'm up to.
All right, cool, man. All right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, telling your story a little bit, and I'm sure I'll be getting you on in the future again as well. So
Awesome.
thank you so much for coming on, and stay safe, stay dry, and keep having fun, man.
Right. Stay on the boat. All right. Thanks so
Yeah.
much, Rob.
Yep. Take it easy, bro.